State Circle is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you.
Driving an increase in state support for electric vehicles.
The goal here is to have a more diversified energy portfolio and to have cleaner air.
Where to put a new Bay Bridge.
We've been fighting this for years. We have two factions.
And debating a penalty for not having health insurance.
We're incentivizing people to use their own money to purchase health insurance for them and their family.
Connecting Marylanders to their government. This is State Circle.
Good evening. The big story around State Circle this week is a state health insurance mandate with a twist. The federal mandate to have health coverage under the Affordable Care Act has now been removed, but Maryland lawmakers are considering a variation on that idea, as Yolanda Vasquez explains.
The fact is that we have to protect the ACA in Maryland. We have to protect ourselves against what the federal government is doing.
A coalition of state lawmakers and health advocates outlined proposed legislation that would establish a health insurance down payment plan.
6-7 years ago, we were at 12% of our state had no health insurance. We're down to 6%. So we needed to look and find some ways longer term to not go backward, but to continue to move forward. And we think that we have come up with a creative proposal.
Senator Brian Feldman is a co-sponsor of the bill. He says the measure to expand access to care is based on a simple question that would appear on state tax returns. Did you have health care coverage during the previous year? If the answer is no, residents will have to pay a $700 fine or use that money as a down payment for coverage.
So we're incentivizing people to use their own money to purchase health insurance for them and their family.
This bill is simple. It gives people a choice. So either the money will go into the general fund, or you have the option of saying, checking that little box when you do your taxes, yes, I would like to have insurance. Then we will connect you to the health exchange.
Premiums go up much more slowly when everybody's insured and uncompensated care is reduced. So the health insurance down payment is a way to help all Marylanders afford their health care.
I feel so bad. These farmers, self-employed, small business people who can't afford health insurance, and the state to come in and tax them, it's terrible.
Senator Michael Huff says the legislation is a bit misguided. He believes states are unable to come up with the right solution on their own.
Really need federal government action to fix the complete disaster of the system they've created, because all we're doing here is, propping it up. But the last thing we should do is punish people who are victims of what, quite frankly, politicians have done to the system.
Supporters say it's also a good way to identify uninsured residents who are unaware financial help is available to them.
So essentially 130,000 uninsured Marylanders right now have access to zero-cost insurance, and they have no idea.
Stan Dorn of Families USA says the plan could be a model for other states. It has the backing of MedChi and the Maryland Hospital Association. Lawmakers hope Hogan will support the legislation, saying it's simply the right thing to do.
Health care, does not care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat when you have cancer or you have a serious illness. And this is a way to make sure that people are covered, and it's a great opportunity for him to really, lead on an important issue.
In Annapolis, I'm Yolanda Vasquez for State Circle.
The State Teachers Union is planning to deliver a lesson on the value of teachers. The union is planning a rally in support of the work of the Kirwan Commission. The commission has recommended higher pay for teachers as well as added state funding for preschool. Lawmakers, however, will not consider major changes this year.
The underfunding of our schools is unacceptable. We expect this to be the largest education rally in the state in a decade, bringing thousands and thousands to Annapolis on March 11th. We're calling it the March for Our Schools.
The price tag for the full Kirwan package is nearly $4 billion per year. The shooting of a staff member at a Baltimore high school leads to a reevaluation of whether school security officers should be armed. Several Baltimore County lawmakers have introduced a bill to override the city school board, which recently voted to keep security officers unarmed.
It certainly did reopen the conversation. At the school, it's very emotional right now. Teachers are very upset, very concerned about safety. What's going to happen next? What's going to be the protocols? How do we heal from this? And I think the students are the same way.
All of the jurisdictions have armed police, sheriffs, what have you, whatever label, whatever their titles are, they have armed people in their school for the purpose of safety. We don't. We're the only jurisdiction in the state that doesn't have that. It makes no sense when you look at the issues that we have in Baltimore City. This is a matter of being proactive and being creating a protected environment for our students, our teachers, parents coming into the school, the whole 9 yards.
Baltimore schools have a police force that is separate from the city police. The House of Delegates paid tribute this week to the victims of the shooting at the Annapolis Capitol newspaper. Speaker Michael Bush, whose district is in the Annapolis area, presented the Speaker's medallion posthumously to the 5 victims. Among them was sports reporter John McNamara. His widow addressed lawmakers.
In memory of these people and so many others, I hope you'll take the action needed to prevent this from happening to any other families again. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislators also honored the memories of Annapolis Capitol employees Wendy Winters, Rob Hyacin, Rebecca Smith, and Gerald Fishman. Governor Hogan is hoping increased incentives will convince more drivers to choose electric. Nancy Amata has the story.
Chauffeured by his wife Yumi, Governor Larry Hogan takes a spin around State Circle to test out a new 2019 Hyundai Nexo. It's the world's first hydrogen fuel cell powered crossover SUV.
I haven't driven a car in 4 years, so they won't let me. But I thought she did a great job. It's amazingly smooth and quiet. You really can't tell that the car's even turned on.
The photo op in front of the State House is part of the governor's push for the Clean Car Act of 2019. It's proposed legislation which increases the excise tax credit funding for anyone who buys a plug-in electric car, including fuel cell vehicles. The funding would also allow the state to create more charging stations.
The reason why we're expanding it is because it was so successful. And of course, the goal here is to have a more diversified energy portfolio and to have cleaner air.
Well, that means that we'll be able to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, that we'll be able to improve fuel economy, and we're also providing more consumer choice so that there are different options in electric vehicles. There's battery electric, there are hybrids, but now we also have fuel cell electric vehicle technologies.
The Director of Energy and Environmental Research for Toyota Motor North America explains how fuel cell technology works and why it's the greenest option available.
Fuel cell vehicles are an all-electric vehicle. They basically take hydrogen, combine that gas with oxygen from the air to form electricity that then is used to drive the vehicle, with the only emission being water vapor. So it's a true zero-emission vehicle.
The average cost of charging an electric vehicle is $540 a year, way less than gas. Even so, here in the U.S., only 3% of new car buyers end up choosing an electric car.
But not enough power for me. I like the gasoline engines.
I don't see places to charge them. So that would be, we drive a lot between soccer and work and stuff, so I would be worried about running out of the charge or whatever it is.
I have a fuel efficient vehicle now and I'm very happy with it, but it's petroleum based and it's just very convenient to pull into my gas station and fill her right up. It takes 2 minutes and off I go.
Senator Paul Pinsky, who chairs the Education, Health and Environmental Affairs Committee, says he backs any effort to reduce fossil fuels and increase the infrastructure to support electric vehicles.
We have to move quickly. The climate change is happening a lot faster than people thought. We have a requirement by the state to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions 40% by 2030. And now we're beginning to realize that's not even fast enough.
He believes solutions should also include increasing mass transit and reducing the number of vehicles that are on the road. I'm Nancy Amata for State Circle.
A new study says it's time to think about building another Bay Bridge. Charles Robinson looks at the many options on the table.
The idea of a new Chesapeake Bay Bridge has been around since the first one was built. Governor Hogan ordered the study under the National Environmental Policy Act to create preferred alternatives to relieve congestion and determine the financial feasibility of building a new span. The map released to the public has crossings as far north as Harford County and St. Mary's County to the south. The study says there could be as many as 14 options for a new Bay Bridge. But when you start to drill down and find out where they want to build it, that's where the arguments begin.
I represent the Eastern Shore, Kent, Queen Anne, Eastern Caroline County. Kent County doesn't want it. They feel that's just going to bring problems from the Baltimore area over into our district over there. So the other side of that would be a plus is we're always looking for economic development. Kent County needs the dollars, it needs some businesses and stuff, and that would be a vehicle that could actually provide some of that for them.
We've been fighting this for years. We have two factions. We have those that want to see great development because they're landowners or they've been bought by the landowners. And we have the rest of us that are just regular citizens that moved there a few years ago that just own a third of an acre and want that peace and quiet. So no, not my county.
To make this a reality, the state will need federal help. In Annapolis, I'm Charles Robinson for State Circle.
Another long-range project finding a site for a new Washington football stadium moved backwards this week by at least 5 yards. The Redskins play now in Prince George's County. Governor Hogan had been working on a swap of parkland with the federal government to gain control of a site near National Harbor. This week, the Hogan administration said it's still pursuing the land deal, but that it is not for a stadium at this time. And joining us for this week's Annapolis Faceoff, Delegate Christopher Adams, a Republican from the Eastern Shore, and Delegate Diana Fennell, a Democrat from Prince George's County. Thanks to both of you for being with us. Delegate Fennell, if I can begin with you, you're the lead sponsor of the House version of the minimum wage bill. How would it work exactly? What's the phase-in period?
Well, the phase-in period, if we're going to pass it this year, the phase-in, it will start come July 2019. Minimum wage is raising up to $11. Then, therefore, 12, 13, 14, 15, it will reach the $15 minimum wage hour. So it will be $1, 90 cents this year, and then $1 moving forward, starting in 20.
And what's the case for why the minimum wage needs to go up now?
Well, you know, it's long overdue. You know, it's long overdue in reference to the minimum wage. The last minimum wage was raised all the way up to $10.10 in 2014. It's time. It's time for the minimum wage. We have people that cannot pay their rent. They can't pay their utility bills. They can barely put food on the table. They're working 2 to 3 jobs. They're trying to make ends meet. So it's long overdue.
Delegate Adams, your thoughts?
Well, I'm a business owner, and this is my second term. I think it's important that everybody knows that we've had 4 consecutive minimum wage increases over the past 4 years. This past summer was the most recent minimum wage increase. So what we're doing is we're coming back at the same time that we've just made the sick pay legislation law from last year. A lot of mandates coming from the state that relate to our businesses throughout the state. We compete in Delaware, where the minimum wage is at $9.25 or will be this summer. Virginia at $7.25 an hour. So we're creating disparity. My thoughts are this is the wrong time. The economy, while it's strong now, I think the business community is looking forward over the next 12 to 24 months, has some real concerns. So with the fact that we've had 4 years of minimum wage increase on the trot, the sick pay legislation moving forward, I don't think this is the right time to bring this bill this year.
What's it actually mean to businesses in your district that are right up against the Delaware line in many cases? So the minimum wage is $9 there, it's $10 here. Doesn't seem like that big a deal, is it?
Well, I think you understand that Montgomery County, Baltimore City have made attempts. I know Montgomery was successful in raising the minimum wage, so we're respectful of the idea that there are cost of living increases and differences in the urban counties near the District of Columbia, Baltimore City. Let me just tell you from the Eastern Shore's perspective, $15 an hour would be a job killer. Small businesses simply don't have that in their business model. I don't have it in my business model. It comes down to productivity. In many cases, young people trying to get their first job, this is how they do it. They would do it in the the restaurant business, service sector. These are jobs that are first jobs. They get them on the ladder to success. This is ultimately how we get to a living wage, how we get to $15, $20, $25 an hour. Someone has to start somewhere. If we get these wages out of kilter with what businesses, especially on the Eastern Shore, can afford, then ultimately we hurt, I think, those that we want to help most. 71% of wage earners that make minimum wage now are 16 to 20 years old. So we're talking about 7 in 10 who I think are going to be impacted tremendously. Of those 3 in 10 that are older, I think this is on balance. We need to try to make sure people can pay their bills.
Let me get Delegate Fennell to respond to that. The idea that you could potentially wind up losing jobs.
Well, one of the things, first of all, let me just state, I'm very excited and happy that we had the county executives to join in reference to the Fight for 15. We had Prince George's County, Angela also booked. We had Montgomery County, Elridge to come, and then we had Anne Arundel County, Pittman to come, and before that Thursday we had the Mayor Pugh to be able to make an announcement, and also in support of the Fight for 15 and Johnny O. Now, in reference to the jobs, one of the things that was stated before when the minimum wage was raised that Maryland was going to lose jobs, but we didn't have any jobs to leave Maryland because of the minimum wage. It's long overdue in reference to raising the minimum wage. It's the right thing to do in reference to helping the people. And I do have, calls in reference to businesses. I do support our business. It's very important that we support our business. But also remember, we did not lose any jobs when the minimum wage was raised before, and we're not going to lose any jobs now, because guess what? That's how you put the money back in the economy in reference to you pay the wages and they put it back in. So that's what we need.
Is there anything in the bill now, or would you be open to amendments that would allow for some regional differences?
Well, right now, in reference to the bill, I am not on that committee, and what is happening now, there is a work group for the minimum wage bill in a subcommittee. I have to see what they're, looking at to offer, but right now, I put the bill in as is. I don't know what they're going to do in reference to working the bill, but I'm hoping to try to stay on top of that bill, and, and also to let the public know that I am for the people and for the businesses. So we want to make sure that we do the right thing in raising the minimum wage bill.
Delegate Adams,
please. Yeah, let me just say to you, as a business owner that serves on Economic Matters Committee, my job is to kill bad legislation, legislation that we know that's going to pass. I try to make it workable. So my first and foremost goal is the voice for the business community is to say this is the wrong time. Businesses aren't saying no necessarily, but they are saying whoa, there's too much coming. It's all happening at one time. So when you ask me a question as to what the negotiating points are, what would the business community accept, I will simply say to you that it is accurate to think of this through the lens of, say, New York City, other states who have looked at geographic indexing. You've got rural areas, cost of living differences, and I can tell you I serve on that work group with other members in the Economic Matters Committee. Right now, we're just going through conversations. That's not a decision-making process, but we are trying to understand if the will is there from the legislature to move it forward, perhaps we have to talk about geographic indexes. For now, I oppose this legislation at this time.
This polls really well. If you take a political poll, most people like the idea of paying a higher minimum wage. Yes. Legislative leadership is behind this, so it sounds like something is most likely going to pass. The question is, can it become veto-proof? Can it be something that gets that kind of support?
Well, one of the things, in reference to, you said it polled well, yes, 61% of Marylanders is asking for this bill to fight the $15 minimum wage. One of the things, as Chris is on the work group, you stated, is there anything in reference to we would like to pull in and pull out? I'm going to stick strongly by the bill, but what I want them to do is just make sure that they look at the bill, make sure that they see everything that's in the bill that is going to be beneficial to people people in Maryland, over 573,000 workers are depending on this increase in minimum wage.
Yeah, so Jeff, let me just quickly address the polling. Diane's right on the polling that Marylanders do support a minimum wage increase. But let me just say, during the sick pay legislation, that also polled very well, except for Gonzalez, who did the polling for both sick pay and minimum wage, went further, dug deeper, and then asked Marylanders, well, okay, if we implement sick pay, what happens if businesses cut jobs or cut benefits? Support for that bill went all the way down from in the 70s down to under 20% of support. Unfortunately, the current Gonzalez poll that leadership is looking at and trying to drive this policy does not get into the questions of, well, what happens when a business is forced to
Delegates,
make real and substantive changes?
Yes.
Delegates Adams and Fennell, we appreciate your time. Have to leave it there. Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And we're back with a political roundtable right after this.
I grew up in a small American farming town. Didn't have a lot. I lived with 7 siblings in a single wide trailer. I just felt like, why couldn't life be better for me? I remember to this day, I turned on the TV and saw Les Mis on great performances. The music was so powerful. I believed that I can do that. It truly inspired me. Today I have a full-time career, but I also have a dream, to sing in a prestigious opera company. It takes work, time, dedication. Sharing my love for music with people gives me joy. PBS helped me think anything's possible. Now I really know what I want in life, and that's singing. PBS gave me the confidence to take a chance in myself.
For the Political Roundtable this week, Charles Robinson joined by Brian Witte of the Associated Press. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us. Big hearing today. A lot of people on a very serious topic.
Brian, you had a chance to listen in on some of this. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, it's the measure that would allow people who have 6 months to live, terminally ill people with 6 months to live, to get some assistance from a doctor to in their lives because the suffering has become too much for them. It always brings out a lot of interest. A lot of people came to Annapolis today. In fact, it was in the largest hearing room in one of the largest hearing rooms on the campus here, and every seat was taken, and there were people outside listening to it on their iPhones just outside the hearing room. So we also had the retired radio broadcaster Diane Rehm came to tell the story about her husband in 2014 who died. He was terminally ill, and he could not get help. He asked his physician if there was something that the doctor could do to end his suffering, and as she told it today, the doctor told him all he could do is stop eating, drinking, and taking medication. And she told the story today that the next day that's what he did, and he died 10 days later.
This is not the first time this bill has come before this body. In fact, I believe this is the 3rd time. It didn't come last year. Brian, I know there's opposition out there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Opponents say that there's so many concerns that people who are simply depressed, people who may not be truly terminally ill could take these, could do this, and they also say that older people could feel like they've become a burden to their families, and that they could try and take this option, even though they might not necessarily need to.
Mm-hmm. And Brian, I think the key element here is the Catholic Conference, which has come out against this.
Yes, the Catholic Church has come out against the bill.
Also, in past years, there have been some disability rights groups aligned against it. It's an interesting issue because so much of what we cover is partisan in nature. It's left versus right, Republican versus Democrat. This one, you see, it crosses the aisle.
It does, and I hate to say it, it hits home with a lot of people, you know, folks who have elderly relatives, and the question always comes up, what do I do? And how can I do it legally? And that's always the big issue. Can you do this legally?
Yes, and in Maryland, there's already 7 states that allow it, and so it's starting. Supporters think they're starting to get a little bit of momentum to possibly make it happen this year.
Yolanda reported earlier in the program on the idea of Maryland establishing its own health insurance mandate in a different form, encouraging people to get coverage. Any way of gauging what the level of support is for that?
This is a new initiative, and it's a new national initiative too. And it's kind of weird, Brian, as I look at the landscape, there are people who think that this is a way to mandate insurance coverage.
Yes, there's a bit of a twist with it. It's kind of trying to bring back what was taken out of federal policy in the 2017 tax overhaul. But the thinking is that instead of making people pay a penalty per se, they would have a choice. They could either pay a penalty if they didn't have health insurance, or they could make a down payment on a health insurance plan. And the hope is that they might be able to capture some people when they're filing their taxes who might be eligible for Medicaid or very low or for insurance at a very low discount.
And Charles, I just have 15 seconds, but the governor's green bag appointments, 100 or more appointments to different boards came down today. Couple of bold-faced names in there.
The first one is Ike Leggett, the former Montgomery County executive. He was named to the Board of Regents at the University of Maryland. And of course, Delegate Frank Turner from out of Howard County. He was also named to the Board of Regents at the Howard County Community College.
Charles, Brian, thank you very much. Thank you for watching State Circle. We're back Monday with Direct Connection. For all of us at MPT, thanks for watching and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.
TV Worth Watching is supported by the members of MPT and by
the Baltimore National Heritage Area. Promoting heritage tourism is a smart economic development tool to boost Baltimore's vibrant and historic neighborhoods, helping communities preserve historic resources, become more visitor-ready, and build community pride. Chesapeake Employers Insurance asks all Maryland employers, is naloxone in your workplace first aid kit? Opioid drug overdoses can happen anywhere, even on the job. Having naloxone in your workplace and training your employees to use it could potentially save a coworker's life.
To administer naloxone, peel back the package to remove the device. Place the nozzle tip in their nostril until your fingers touch the bottom of the nose. Press the plunger firmly